Dr. Evans, Dwight McDaniel, doing my video for my PLC ILA discussion. This is Ashley Nelson, who is a second grade teacher, and Austin Martin, who is also a second grade teacher. Say hi, guys.
Hey.
And we are going to get started. I just wanted to introduce, so I'm going to go to the other side of the table, and then I will get started asking them some questions. All right, to start off, we decided to do a PLC because we were having some reading struggles at our school. So primarily, a lot of our kids are coming into each grade level not being able to read on grade level, having issues with fluency, having issues with comprehension, and some of them even as low as having issues with phonics. So the first thing on the agenda says the agenda for the meeting should involve a summative review of the development of the ILA plan. So basically, when we started, the whole entire school, we are having an initiative to where we were trying to introduce different strategies to improve the reading amongst all grade levels. And one of the strategies that we specifically targeted this year was metacognition, which grows as the kids there are several parts to metacognition, and each year certain ones are added on because of the students' ability or maturity level. So we talked about some of the issues that they were having. So could you guys elaborate a little bit on some of the reading issues you saw with your kids at the beginning of the school year?
At the very beginning of our second grade school year, a number of my students were struggling with reading comprehension and performance based on their lack of reading fluency. So they were struggling decoding basic word for word. So with fluency being a big struggle, it's hard for them to hear what they were reading and really absorb and understand what they were reading.
And I would say something I noticed is, second grade is really the last year they're learning to read. And then as we transition, they start to read to learn. And that was a hard struggle for a lot of the kids to switch their dynamics of how they read and how we learn.
Okay, thank you. So as we continue with the discussion about the reading and what could be done, we decided, like I said, as a school to focus on some metacognition strategies. And what we decided on as a group was to take the kids in the second grade, which we have a very low number of kids in the second grade, and take the kids that do not have a label, meaning they're not labeled as IEP, EIP, 504, a REACH kid, any of those labels, and see which of those kids are not performing coming into second grade reading on grade level. Now, there are a couple indicators that we use in order to determine if the kids are where they're supposed to be. One is the star reader, which basically tells us what Lexile level the kids are reading on. And the other one is running records, which is very similar, but it does not go by Lexile. It focuses in on, it's letter based. So if the kids are pre-primary or very, very low, they start off at AA, and as they progress, they raise up through the letters of the alphabet. So what we did was look through all of the second graders that did not have labels, and we saw if they were not where they were supposed to be based on their Lexile level and their running record level. So we ended up with 12 kids that were not labeled anything, and they were not meeting the standards to come in to second grade. So we said then we will take those kids and we will implement some of the metacognition strategies. So could you guys elaborate a little bit on some of the metacognition strategies that we decided to use?
Well, we started off with the metacognition, just thinking about your thinking. As you read, you're stopping to think. And then we went to schema, which is, your prior knowledge, and how we can have the kids, build on what they read from what they know. And that was, I think, the biggest struggle for me, for our kids, was just that schema portion.
There's the lack of exposure and lack of schema that they have.
Yeah, I would agree with that. And then we did visualization. We did some skills like that of just being able to close our eyes, play a movie in our head is how we kind of phrase that. Would you like to add anything?
Yeah, I would say the same. And then from there we moved to inferencing. So to really get them to absorb what they're reading, what do they think will happen next, and touching base with their thoughts and how it connects to the text.
And I think it also allows the kids to build the vocabulary as well. That's something that we really tried to push.
And I think their lack of schema really shows in their lack of vocabulary. So words that we think would be common for most second graders, they're unfamiliar with. Which also goes back to the fluency, because it's hard for them to decode a word that they're not even sure how to pronounce or that they've heard before. So yeah, starting there with those metacognition skills and strengthening fluency is the areas we're trying to grow in.
Okay,
Start
thank you.
tackling. Yeah.
All right, so from there, and because our reading group at our school, we focus mainly on working in a small group, we knew that they will be able to introduce these strategies during the guided reading portion of their lessons, which is always smaller kids. And the majority of those 12 kids came in at about a BR 400, which is very low, actually the lowest that you can actually get on the star reader, not the
Alexa.
running record.
Right, on the scale.
The BR, that's where they were. So we started off, I made the SMART goal, and the SMART goal is by 2019, all second grade students that do not have IEP, SST, EIP, gifted and reach, will be able to grow by 4 levels on the running records. So say a kid came in at level B, that meaning he was not on grade level at the time, he will need to go from B, C, D, E to F over that period of time. And we will take that each week. The teachers have a co-read, and the co-read is basically a comprehension passage that the kids know nothing about, and it's basically just a comprehension passage on their grade level to see if these guided reading strategies were helping them improve. So once we did that, the teachers, they have reading every day. The strategies were used every day. Certain strategies were used at certain times. Just like any lesson, you can't give them all of them at the same time. You teach 1 or 2 at a time. You focus on those for a week or 2, and then see if the kids' co-reads would improve. So monthly, we also have data digs where the teachers bring the data from the co-reads, bring the data from the reading fluency, the grasp reading fluency to see if their fluency is improving, and they bring the data from, we do the STAR data once every 4 months. So we brought the initial data from their initial STAR assessment, and then we took the next data from the next one, and all of this was incorporated together to see if the kids were improving using these reading strategies. So how has the strategies that we implemented influenced the data in your class and the need for those kids to improve their comprehension?
Well, I would say with my kids, just giving them a tool, giving them something they can use has really been beneficial for them. For most of my kids, you have seen growth in their reading, growth in their comprehension. I think, with the kids we teach, sometimes it is hard with that schema portion of it, of what they're reading about. But giving those kids those certain strategies you see them use, I've definitely seen their grades go up.
And I think putting the strategies in the kid-friendly, like the visualization, I'm talking about it being a movie in their brain and making it something that they can really understand what we're asking of them. And the way that the data is presented to the kids. So not only do we do the data digs, but then the kids are also shown their progress each time they're assessed. We have little colorful charts where they're able to move their clip up and they get really motivated. And they all have a different goal just to hit their increase, their 4 levels. So we get little individual celebrations, and I think every one of my identified students have made significant growth, and I think all but one have reached the goal of going up 4 letters since the initial assessment. Pretty close too. So I think that we've gotten them very motivated and engaged.
Okay. So, given the information that you've received throughout the PLC, what will be your next steps as far as implementing different strategies, rearranging the groups, attacking it from a different angle? What would you do differently, or what would you keep the same?
My biggest takeaway after the book study and our conversations on those things is that I really want to invest in using authentic literature in my classroom next year, building text that I'm passionate, or using text that I'm passionate about, so that I'm more engaged and more effective, and that'll show through to my kids. So still using the cold reads to monitor data, but using books, good, rich picture books and chapter books on their level to really get us all sucked into the learning.
Yeah, and I just think the visual part of it, maybe having like a bookmark that the kid can keep or something that would remind them of the schema, maybe have visualization as maybe like a movie, like you were saying, just having some tools that they can refer back to that's in front of them, I think starting off would be beneficial as well.
All right, Dr. Evans, I think that has covered everything that I'm supposed to. And I believe I will see you again April 26th, I think. Thank you.